Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of As the Crow Flies Hiking. Avalanche and I just finished 180 miles on an adventure.
Absolutely.
It was awesome. So
hey, I appreciate you bringing out the portable studio.
yeah, this is all our gear. It was a lot of stuff and we wanted to talk a little bit about it. For those of you who are interested in doing kind of a decade challenge like we've done now 3 of them.
Absolutely.
And so we want to talk about it, but I just wanted to say that before we get started, this is our 3rd one, and this one's special because this one we're actually giving to Neverthirst. Neverthirst is an organization that provides clean drinking water to people around the world by wells and bio sand filters. We were trying to reach a goal of $10,000 and we're still trying. So if you see this video, go to the link below and give to Neverthirst. They will provide 2 bio sand filters to 2 villages in India, and our goal was $10,000.
In one of the videos, I think it's attached to the Neverthirst page, it shows a brother and a sister, and the sister has just a glass of brown water, and the brother has the clear water, and once it runs through that filter, they get crystal clear water. When I saw that as a hiker, as a backpacker, I felt like I had to do something. Today, there's a sense of completion because today, if we had to finish it up and just write the check ourselves, at least one village would have clean water that could last for years, hundreds of years, with just simple maintenance.
But now we want to talk about our 60-60-60. For those of you, and many of you have commented and said, I'd like to do this. I'd like to kayak and bike and hike 3 different segments on some birthday, whether it be 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, or even 60. All right, so let's talk a little bit about it. So we decided that our decade challenge would be 60 miles because it was Avalanche's birthday. So it's 180 miles total, and we took the 3 things that we enjoyed most: kayaking, biking, and hiking. You know, we've done this in 3 different locations. We did it near the Pinhoti and the Terrapin Creek. And
well, everything was kind of, our base camp was the Chief Ladiga Rail Trail campground
in Alabama.
So we did the Terrapin Creek, we did Terrapin Creek Rail Trail, Chief Ladiga Rail Trail, and then we hit the Pinhoti and did the 2 highest points on the Pinhoti of the Alabama section in Duggar Mountain and Cheehaw.
Yeah, and then on my 50-50-50, we decided to go to the Land Between the Lakes, which is on the border of Kentucky and Tennessee, and we thought that that would be a little easier for us because the hiking, because the Avalanche has a reconstructed knee, we thought the hiking would be a lot less elevation. What we didn't realize is some of the biking was up and down hills outside of there going into that town. What was that town called? You said on the video it means nothing's here or something.
Cadiz.
Cadiz, yeah, Cadiz, Kentucky. I can't believe you remember that.
Yeah.
We just had a blast on the kayak, and that was our first segment.
Yeah.
We did 32 miles each day. So keep in mind that the way we did this challenge is 6 consecutive days. The first 2 days we did 32 miles on the kayak.
Self-shuttled. We got up at the crack of dawn. We dropped 1 vehicle at takeout. We drove 30, 40 minutes to Kennedy Bridge.
Yeah.
There's a little parking lot there. So we dropped, parked there, took the kayaks out, put them in the water, paddled back to my vehicle the first day, put them in, and then drove back to get yours. So
what you got to think about if you want to do a kayaking portion of your challenge, you got to be thinking about shuttles.
Yeah.
And then you really got to be thinking about gear. Avalanche used a hybrid between a kayak and a paddle board, and I just used, which is above here, a 10-foot kayak. I chose my 10-foot instead of the 12-foot because I thought it would be easier to travel all the 4 hours. But you got to be thinking about gear.
I went with the Boat Deus. It's an inflatable kayak, but you can also stand up and paddle like a paddleboard. I came down and did a scout trip a few weeks ago, and I did about 18 miles on a paddleboard. I had a great boat, bug slinger paddleboard, loved it. But when I saw this Deus, it has a keel, and I could sit down without trying to create something.
Yeah, and if you want to do a challenge with a kayak, you also got to be thinking about what waterway you're going to use. We chose the Blackwater River here in Florida because it moves, and so we thought that would help us move. We luckily chose the day and the segments correctly because the day we got in, the water was fine. Then there was a storm on our first day of hiking. we came back and went over those bridges as we hiked, the water, we were told by the rangers, was up 6 or 8 feet. And that would have been disastrous if we would have done the segments differently.
Well,
so,
we'd have been done. I mean, it wouldn't have been safe at that point. And we're always going to err to caution. And we had talked about moving it because we knew rain was supposed to come in Wednesday, and that was our bike day. Didn't really want to be biking in the rain. I don't mind hiking so much in the rain, but biking. But we stayed with our original schedule.
Now let's move on to the biking. The biking really turned out to be pretty eventless this time.
Yeah, it was great. We started here. We actually rode out from our campsite. We're at Blackwater State Park. I don't really camp. I'm not a campground camper. There are people around. These people have been great to work with, but we were able to leave from that campsite on the bikes. We rode out, hit kind of a major road with the 3-foot bike lane. We had an antique brick road from I think 1921.
Yeah.
And so we rode it. Because my bike has commuter tires, it was much better for me riding the brick. But your road bike, it was beating him up. So he went out on the road for most of that trip.
So it was basically eventless. Avalanche had a plan, and we followed that plan. We went to Milton and back. If you want to do one of these challenges with multiple type of events, you want to have a base camp that you can use to have launch places for kayak. So you got to find a place that's got all three. And you got to be able to store your gear. So this is how we stored our gear. Avalanche has a trailer, and everything you see behind us is stuff that we used for the last 6 days. And so talking about a launch place, you also talk about having a place to keep your gear, because you don't want thieves to take all the stuff that you've accumulated for these gear. So it was great to have this. We were able to put the bikes in there, put my kayak up top. His inflatable kayak / paddleboard was in here. That's something to be thinking about depending on what events you want to do. The last thing we did was hiking. We hiked 60 miles, and again, this campground was a great launch point because we hiked from here,
yeah,
and went out 30 miles, and we decided to go out and back because it would just cut down on travel time.
Well, we could have gone out, caught the Alabama Trail, hiked through Conecuh Forest, but we would have had to left early, do the biking, and then we would have had to travel over 60 miles because you never get less than the trail. Leave a vehicle and then drive back to a start vehicle or hike from that vehicle back. And we could have done that, but we were going to get into more travel, more hours eating up. We learned on the paddling days that it was nice not to pay somebody to shuttle us, because it would have been $40 a trip, $80 a day per person, and that would have been expensive. But in not paying the shuttle, we lost time. So we weren't getting in till late, and then cooking dinner, eating at 9 o'clock when we should have been in bed at 8 o'clock. There's a lot of things to think through. So as you're planning yours, just think through every moment of every day and what you have to have. On the hiking, we felt like we could get the biking done by lunchtime. Yeah. We even stopped at a local establishment and got a biscuit that first morning. So we did great the first day. We had a 7-mile hike to a shelter. Shelter number 1, I believe. Yep. And had a great place to spend the night. So that part of the plan was great.
When you're thinking about this challenge hike, you really got to do what Avalanche has done the last 3, and that is you've got to plan it out. You can't really haphazardly do one of these challenges because the gear, the logistics, the moving of cars, understanding where you can be to launch to different places and to compact it into the amount of time that you need, all has to be done. So if you decide you want to do one of these, as we've been talking about in the comments and people have commented back, you can contact us. You can email me at asthecrowflieshiking@gmail.com, and I'll get you in touch with Avalanche, or I will try to help if you want to do one of these. And you may want to do just half kayaking and half hiking, or whatever your challenge is.
But we did have a bump. We had a bump on day 2.
Which one?
We got to the second shelter.
Oh.
And at the second shelter, there was a difference of opinion, and not that either person was right or either person was wrong. I had said, why don't we take the rest of the day off today and rest, and then hide gear here and slack pack from this shelter to the road and back. Well, it'll be an 18-mile day, but it'll be an 18-mile day gear free. Crow said, well, I'd like to get in as many miles today as we possibly can, because the schedule that you put together was 7, 18, 18, 18.
Right.
We were there, and then Crow was going through his pack, getting stuff ready. I needed to go make a little trip out into the woods. So we kind of separated, not long enough really for anything to happen, but communication wasn't real clear for me to Crow on where I was going, what I was doing. And I thought he was going through his pack, and because he was changing his socks or something, I thought there were plenty of time. Well, that communication, Crow took off in the correct direction. I took off in the wrong direction. So I was actually hiking the section that we had just finished. So before I knew it, I'd gone 3, maybe 4 miles back to this dilapidated bridge system that they had. And when I saw it, I realized it wasn't Crow that went the wrong way. It was me that went the wrong way.
Yeah, but it worked out. It wasn't a big deal. Well, and that basically sums up some of the things I wanted to talk about with this. In summary, you should be thinking about your gear. You should be thinking about planning, and plan as much as you can, especially when you're trying to do multiple types of activities, kayaking, biking, and hiking, because the gear is going to be an issue. Think about how you're going to store your gear to keep it away from thieves or people that may get into your gear. Think about where you're going to be as a central point to launch off to different locations, and then always consider that there are going to be issues. There's going to be
just a bump. There's
going to be bumps everywhere. There's things that could get lost. There's gear that you might not remember to bring, but ultimately you just have to find your way around those things and finish the hike.
In all 3 parts of this challenge, I had a paper map. We had a paper map.
Good point.
Of the water. We had a paper map of both directions we might go on the biking, and bought the waterproof version of the forest paper map. Those pages of information were the most helpful because we could look at it and see how much further to the next shelter, how much further to the next road. So have maps and have something in paper, not just your phone. Have something that backs up your digital content to help you get where you need to go.
Yeah, and that was very important. And so in summary, I would say plan, 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 and keep planning all the way up to the last second. We appreciate you guys for watching this episode of As the Crow Flies Hiking. If you're interested, as I said, if you're interested in doing a decade challenge or a mile challenge in multiple activities, we've done 3 of them. So if we would be somebody you might want to ask for some tips on it. So give us an email and let me know what your questions are. I'll get you in touch with Avalanche as well. Thank you so much for watching As the Crow Flies Hiking, and thank you for watching the video series on the 60-60-60 challenge.
And if you gave to Neverthirst, thank you so much. It's my birthday wish, and we don't know each other, but thank you for giving, not for me, not for Crow, but to change the lives of these people that live in the villages that we'll never meet. We'll never know what the final outcome is.
Well, thank you guys for watching. We will see you next time on the next adventure of As the Crow Flies Hiking.